You've definitely seen these on YouTube, right? These really simple animated stories, kind of like fairy tales, that are just racking up millions and millions of views. And you might think it's just random, but it's not. Not at all. There is an incredibly powerful and repeatable formula behind all this success, and today we're going to break it all down.
So what's the actual secret here? Is it just pure luck? Did they just get blessed by the algorithm gods one day? Absolutely not. This whole thing is a highly engineered process designed from the ground up to go viral, and we are going to deconstruct it, piece by piece.
You see, behind these seemingly simple stories is a very specific, repeatable blueprint. It's a formula that carefully combines specific story niches, a predictable script structure, and some really clever packaging to pull in a massive global audience.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture formula, and then we'll dive right into the 4 key niches that make it all work. After that, we'll look at the script structure they all follow, how they optimize their titles and tone, and finally, we're going to see how it all comes together with 3 viral video ideas you could make today.
All right, first up, let's get into what this viral formula is all about.
So, the foundation of this entire formula is built on 4 core ingredients. Think of them as 4 powerful niches that get blended together for maximum worldwide appeal.
And here they are, the 4 magic ingredients. First, you've got moral stories and folktales. These have timeless, universal lessons that anybody, anywhere can understand. Second, ESL, English as a second language. This targets that huge global audience trying to learn English with simple stories. Third, kids animation, obviously for that pure engagement factor. And finally, you sprinkle in some magical or supernatural elements, like a pot of biryani that never runs out, just to add that little bit of wonder. The fusion is just brilliant because it works on every level. It's educational, it's super entertaining, and the morality is crystal clear.
Okay, so we have the ingredients, now we need the recipe. The next piece of this formula is the script itself, a simple, predictable, and incredibly effective story blueprint.
Every single one of these viral stories follows these 4 key beats. It always starts with simple, easy-to-understand heroes and villains. Then comes a turning point, some big crisis for our hero. This is always followed by some kind of magical intervention that completely changes their fate. And, without fail, it ends with a really satisfying dose of karmic justice.
Now, the characters themselves are about as simple as you can get. There's always a clear hero, usually poor but with a heart of gold. And there's always a villain who's just obviously greedy or mean. And there's usually a helper figure too, like a wise old man or even, a magical dress. The key takeaway? There is zero moral ambiguity here. It is good versus evil, plain and simple.
And this brings us to that final, absolutely crucial step, the resolution. Just like it says here, the bad character is always punished, and the good character always flourishes. This clean, super satisfying conclusion is comforting, and it perfectly reinforces the moral of the story for a young global audience. No question marks, just a nice, neat ending.
A great story is one thing, but how do you get millions of people to actually click on it? Well, that comes down to the final packaging, the titles and the tone.
The titles are not an afterthought. Oh no, they're a science. They are heavily optimized for YouTube's search algorithm using a very specific 2-part format. A really catchy hook, followed by a string of powerful keywords.
Okay, check this out. This is a perfect example. The hook is something really specific from the story that just grabs your attention, like 10 rupees biryani. It makes you think, wait, what's that about? Then, that's followed by a whole list of keywords: English stories, moral stories, cartoon. This is all about maximizing its chances of popping up in search results and recommendations.
The tone of these videos is also very carefully calibrated. It's dramatic enough to create some real emotional stakes. Characters are facing poverty or danger, but it always feels safe because the audience kind of knows a magical solution is just around the corner. The delivery is really theatrical and clear, almost like a teacher reading a fable, which just reinforces that instructive, ESL-friendly vibe of the whole thing.
Okay, so we have all the components of the formula. We've got the niches, the script, the packaging. Now let's put it into practice. Here are 3 viral video ideas built using this exact same blueprint.
Idea number 1. This one really leans into that unbelievably low price hook.
So the story? Picture this. A poor but super kind girl sells these magical umbrellas for just 5 rupees during a huge storm. A greedy merchant tries to sabotage her, but the umbrella has a secret. It only protects people with a good heart. See, it hits all the marks. You've got the price hook, the virtuous hero versus the greedy villain, and a magical intervention. Perfect.
All right, idea number 2 taps into another really powerful trope that you see all the time.
This story is about a mistreated orphan who's forced to do endless chores by her mean aunt. But at night, her old school bag magically comes to life, finishes all her work, and even teaches her lessons. It's that perfect blend of the secret helper and supernatural justice themes.
And for a final idea, let's combine a little adventure with a really clear moral test.
So in this one, a jungle hero discovers a magical fruit, but a wise animal warns him it's only for the selfless. Of course, a greedy trickster steals it and eats it, but he gets cursed to only speak the truth, which exposes all his lies. It's a classic forbidden object story that delivers that super satisfying karmic punishment in the end.
So there you have it. That's the blueprint. It all starts with those 4 core niches, combines them with that simple 4-step script structure, and then wraps it all up in some really smart, optimized packaging. That is the complete formula for turning simple cartoons into absolute viral sensations.
We've deconstructed the entire formula for you, from the core ingredients right down to the title. So really, the only question left is the one right here on the screen. Now that you have the blueprint, what story will you tell?